Hello and welcome back to another garden update video. My name is Sean, also known as ChilliChump. It's been a little while since my last garden update video, so there's been a ton of progress. Let's get straight into it, get inside the grow shed and see how the chili plants are doing. This place has filled up so quickly, especially since the last time you guys were in here. And let me just get that latched up. It's just beautiful to see, lots of healthy growth, deep green, and yeah, I'm pretty happy with this. You can see I'm using up as much space as I possibly can in here. I had to put a new trestle table inside this, and that means just a small passageway over here, but that's the only way I could get these plants in here. I have some more plants that I need to be potting up. I'm thinking maybe doing that today or tomorrow. I just don't know where I'm going to put them. I am really happy with the progress so far. For the most part, everything is going to plan. Except for the fact this grow shed is a little smaller than I hoped. But so far, the plants are really enjoying it. It's just getting a little crowded in here. Let's have a quick look at a couple plants. Start off with this one over here, which I absolutely love. It is just gorgeous. Let's just bring up what that is. That is a habanero Morobe yellow. So beautiful, beautiful plant. I mean, look at that growth. It is stunning. Absolutely love it. Anyway, let's take a quick photo while we're here. If you haven't checked out Seedsio just yet, then I would recommend go and check it out. You will enjoy using it, I'm pretty sure, especially if you have quite a few plants. But yeah, let's just put that on. There we go. Excellent. There's a couple others here that are a bit interesting. This one here is just fascinating to me. Now, most people would probably kill this or remove it, but I don't know. I'm just very curious to see what it does. Which one is this? I think it's the Fushimi. Yep, that's the Fushimi. There are a few other growers growing it, but just that growth, that strange leaf growth. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's just some sort of genetic anomaly. But we'll see how it goes throughout the season. It actually has started putting out some little flowers. So, yeah, we'll see if it actually fruits. Let's have a quick look around. There's some smaller plants, of course. I mean, when was this planted? Let's just pull that up. So that is a habanero chocolate, planted January 18th. So, yeah, it's not doing too great. Let's have a look at the root system underneath, see if it's poking out the bottom. Whoops. There's a little bit of root system coming through there. Maybe it'll catch up once it gets some full sunshine. But yeah, some plants have definitely grown quicker than others. I'm doing a mini experiment with my Buna Mulata. So if you've watched my videos last year and the year before, the Buna Mulata is one of my earliest fruiting plants each season. They are really keen to get going. You can see here, this is just quite tall compared to some of the other plants. Hasn't bushed out as much as some of the others, but there's a ton of new growth. So we can see the little leaves coming through the nodes. So this is one of them. This is under my Mars Hydro SP150. I have another one that I've placed here under my Viper Spectra XS 1500. So this light over here. Not really much between it. I think this one might have some broader growth, but there's a little bit of a problem with the experiment. There is a window here. During the early morning, the sunlight comes through, and obviously it's getting a bit more light than just from this Viper Spectra. But not really much between it. I think this is probably got a bit more growth, a bit more denser growth, but yeah, not too much between it. Let's have a look at the other one. Well, actually I have another two. So one is under this large Core LED light. So this is a bit of a beast, and that is doing seriously well. Look at that. I've got this turned all the way down, as you would have seen from my last video about lighting. Why I do that, go check it out if you haven't watched it yet. But we can see there, this is just such lovely dense growth. Even the leaves on the nodes there are bigger than the other two plants. But there's a lot more foliage. It is a broader plant as well, so it's looking really good. And then we have one more. This is under my copper LED, so this one up here. It's hiding away a little bit. Similar growth to the first two that we had a look at. Not a lot of internodal growth, but similar kind of leaf span, although the other plants are kind of crowding it out. Check at that. That thing's going to be huge. Got quite a few like that, just many branches branching out. Just cannot wait to get them outdoors. Stunning, stunning growth. Let's take a look at my cheapest setup that I have inside my grow shed. This is a frame that is from IKEA. It is part of their Vaxa range. So IKEA did, I don't think they actually do it anymore. They used to do a hydroponics range or gardening range called Vaxa. And this is a set of grow lights. So you can see they're just 3 little LEDs, and they really are little. I mean, there's not a ton of light coming through there. I have measured it, and I will include that in the video that I do as a follow-up to my last lighting video. But look at the plants. They are responding beautifully. It's just stunning growth. Look at that. Not necessarily as big as some of my other plants, but they really aren't complaining. And it's giving a good head start for the season. Once I do take them outside, of course, they will be a lot happier. Let's have a look. I've just watered them. But decent bit of root system underneath there. So really can't complain. So I do like this little system. It doesn't use a lot of power, and with energy prices doing what they're doing, that's a good thing. With the cost of electricity shooting through the roof, running all these lights and this heating, it all adds up. The lights are probably about a kilowatt per hour, and that runs for 16 hours a day, so that's 16 kilowatts per day. The heating averages around 10 kilowatts per day, and it really just depends on how cold the weather is, of course. Now, it makes sense in the early part of the season to be running all these lights and the heating and have things in this grow shed because I'm getting a head start to my season. But as we start heading into spring, right now we have a ton of sunshine. You can see it's a beautiful blue sky day, and we get a lot of sunshine throughout the day. Enough sunshine for our plants. The problem is it's not very warm out there. There's a bit of a crossover that you're waiting for, where you've got to offset the costs of heating the greenhouse. So I have a small greenhouse and a large greenhouse. Heating the smaller greenhouse to the temperatures that this room is in would be exorbitant. It would be a ridiculous amount of money. But heating it to just about freezing, that's doable, especially at the moment. A week or so ago, no, because it's still cold during the day and I don't want the heater running all day long. So that's my plan. I'm going to be taking these plants outside in the next few days. That's probably my job this weekend. And we're going to be taking them out into the beautiful sunshine, and I have to then figure out what sort of temperatures I'm aiming for inside that greenhouse. I think the cost of electricity to heat the greenhouse is going to be a little bit less than what it costs at the moment inside here. Plus the benefit obviously is that sunshine is a fantastic light source, far better than LEDs or anything else. So that's the plan. I'm a bit nervous because it's a bit earlier than I normally would do it. Where I live in Lincolnshire is a little bit further north than where I used to live, and the last frost date is in May. Typically I'm used to the last frost date being middle of April. So I normally take my plants out about 2 weeks before the last frost date, and that's kind of a safe bet. I don't even really need heating at that stage. This is a little risky, but as long as we don't have electricity cuts, I should be all right, and my plants should survive. Please don't be famous last words. Excuse the mess in here. I have been working on the irrigation system and getting everything ready for the season, but we're almost there, and we'll do a bit of a sneak peek at the irrigation system and the progress I've made. And of course we'll do a full-length video at some point just describing exactly what I've done. So this here is a greenhouse within a greenhouse. So the reason for this, it's a lot easier to heat a smaller space. So I have this heater. This is my greenhouse heater. It's only 2.4 kilowatts. It'll be absolutely pointless in a greenhouse the size of the one we're in, but inside this little tent, it is absolutely perfect. I actually have it set on the thermostat to 10 degrees. It's not a great thermostat, can't really read it, but it works. And I have that set to 10 degrees, which means that this tent stays at 10 degrees at least. And that doesn't cost a lot of money because, yeah, it's a small space. So I have a few plants in here. We'll take a quick look. I've just potted these on, not potted up necessarily, but I've added fresh compost, and I've done that with all of these that I've overwintered. Some are doing better than others. This one, not doing very great at all. I'm still holding out hope that it might recover, not too sure. That one doesn't look very healthy, however, there is some new growth, so I think that should come out okay. It's just settling into the new growing area. This one is doing fantastically and growing nicely. And over here, this one's doing well as well. It's just a little bit light colored for my liking. We'll see. I'm sure that will change over time. And this here is a little bit of an experiment just to try and prepare for what I'm going to be doing with my plants, taking them outside quite early. I potted this up the same time as all the others that I potted up, and it's healthy. Growing a little bit slower above the ground because it's actually in a bigger pot. So there's a video coming out very soon about potting up and why we do it, and I'll explain this a bit more. But we can see that, well, hopefully you can see it in the light there, but there's some lovely roots going on down there. So what happens is basically the plant is going to be filling that pot with roots, and once that happens, you're going to see some explosive growth above the surface. But yeah, it survived pretty well out here. The sunshine has been perfect. That's pretty much what I'm actually testing. I know that the heat is fine because I have that heater in here. But the sunshine, we've had decent days like today, beautiful blue sky, which means we get a ton of sunlight and the plants are going to love it. But it's not always like this. Yesterday was rainy and grey, and we've had a few very, very stormy days as well. Okay, it's picked up a little bit now. Tons of wind. Talking of which, actually, I reconnected all my vents. I had to strap those down with the gale force winds that we've been having. And one of the challenges of having a bigger greenhouse, I have, how many? I have 5, 10, 20 auto vents in here. And I had to go and connect those all up. So there's 10 on that side, 10 on this side, and there's a bunch in the Rhino greenhouse, but those are a lot easier to reconnect. But yeah, I had to strap them down because of the storms that we're having. The winds were hectic. It was bouncing these windows around. But it's important now to have them open. Like this one here, we can see it's opening up because it gets so hot in here at the moment. Like I said, quick sneak peek of what I'm doing with the irrigation system. I will go into full detail in another video, but we can see we've got all the piping set up at regular intervals, and that's where my drippers will go. And that goes all along each of the sides of the greenhouse, so both sides of the staging. I also have set them up in the center, so each of the pillars have some outlets as well. And I'll explain that in future videos when you see how I set those up. But a ton of space in here, and I'm really looking forward to filling it up with my plants. Let's take a look over here. This has been a lot of work. Like I said, won't go into too much detail in this video, but we can see how this irrigation system is going to look. I'm pretty pleased with it so far. I've still got to put the automation, the actual controller unit in. I've been programming that, but that's going to sit up here and control the whole thing. Let's take a quick look outside at the raised beds. We've had some catastrophes. The stupid cat that comes over and uses my garden as a toilet decided it was going to dig up my garlic. So this here is a raised bed that I put in just for garlic, pretty much this half of the bed. And the cat decided it was going to dig up all my garlic, so it started digging it all up and then pooping in the holes that it left behind, which really, really annoyed me. Thankfully, I had a little bit of a tip, and it's worked out quite well, from one of my patrons, Woody. Thank you very much. She recommended, well, I think she's doing it herself, but using scaffold netting and just these little uprights. They were quite cheap. I think they're used for temporary fencing for sheep and things like that, but doing a great job, and so far so good. I think I've kept the cat out. We've got some other raised beds here. This one's ready for some compost to be stuck on top, or some well-rotted manure. We're still deciding on how we're going to do that. You can see I haven't put netting over yet, but the framework is there. There will be some netting going over, not for the, well, it is partly for the cat, but mainly for the butterflies that come here and eat all my brassicas, my cabbages and that sort of thing. So we've got one there and another one over there. I'll probably be doing cabbages, Napa cabbage, Chinese cabbage, things like that. I want to make some nice kimchi later on. And then obviously we've got netting over here. This is my asparagus bed that I started last year, and we already have a few little asparagus popping out. You can see there that little pink shoot, that's an asparagus popping out. They are such a weird plant, they seriously are. But oh, there's another one over there as well. There's a few popping out, so I'm glad they've survived the winter. That's a good thing. I won't be able to harvest this year, but in a couple of years time we will have some beautiful asparagus. Just got to keep the cat away from it because it'd like to poop in this bed too. These other raised beds will be filled up with vegetables too a little bit later on. Still too cold at the moment, but we're definitely going to have some gem squashes trailing over that archway. This one here, maybe some gem squashes as well, but possibly some other climbing vegetables. One of these beds are going to be dedicated to chilies and tomatoes. I'm still deciding which, but yeah, chilies and tomatoes. I am going to be doing a bit of experimentation on growing outdoors. Obviously it'll be a little while before I do take them outdoors. The plants that are inside the grow shed, some of those will be used outdoors, but I'll have to definitely wait until the last frosts have gone. So it'll be mid-May probably before I plant out some tomatoes and chilies. I hope that your plants are doing well and that your season has got off to a fantastic start. I cannot wait for springtime. It is just such a beautiful time of the year, and it's nice to get little hints of it a little early. We have some blue skies and sunshine, and it's actually fairly warm if you take away the wind. And I just cannot wait to fill up these greenhouses with all my plants and really start enjoying the whole garden and being outdoors. It's going to be incredible. Thank you so much for joining me on this video, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one. Until then, stay spicy.